welcome. This is the Grace Hour Show podcast here, a podcast that looks into things from the Bible. I'm Pastor Steve Andrulonis with Jonathan Mikkonen again, 2 days in a row. We're talking about lessons from unlikely Bible heroes. Interesting. Yesterday we talked about Jephthah. Today we have another character that maybe is a little bit more known to people who, Gideon, the story of Gideon.
It's probably only the most used Bible character in the men's seminars. Or
This is true. I never thought of that, but you're right. I've been to several men's seminars where, trying to be like a Gideon. And, I think we talked about this yesterday, that these heroes always have their flaws, and the Bible is very faithful to show the truth and nothing but the truth, and not hide the truth about these guys. So we find that Gideon wasn't so brave, and we also find that the success test proved to be something of his undoing, and this is a pattern in Judges, and then also a pattern in the books of Kings and Chronicles when we read that. So when we talk about Bible heroes, we're talking about men just like us, men just like us.
Yeah, I think that's why his story resonates, and many others in the book of Judges and throughout the Old Testament, and the New, all the Bible characters, but the Gideon story especially resonates because he's very human. Mm-hmm. You can see that he's hesitant, he's fearful, he's insecure. He's constantly asking God for a reassurance, but then yet, like we started with, like the angel of the Lord, Judges chapter 6 verse 11, came and sat under the terebinth tree, which was in Ophrah, which belonged to Joash the Abiezrite, while his son Gideon threshed the wheat in the winepress in order to hide it from the Midianites. And then the angel of the Lord appeared to him and said, "The Lord is with you, you mighty man of valor." And there it is again. God calls this seemingly coward, he probably should be in the front lines fighting against Midianites. He should be doing something seemingly naturally, but he's hiding, and God comes here, sends the angel of the Lord and says, the Lord is with you, the mighty man of valor.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing. If you read the verse, how did Israel get into the situation they're in? The first part of Judges 6 tells us that Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord. And so the Lord allowed them, removed their protection, delivered them into the hand of Midian for 7 years. And it's really, it's really interesting. And here Gideon is saying, we meet another person that is out of the way, just sort of trying to live day to day. I really like to go back to Proverbs 6 about go to the ant. This is a guy who's very small in the whole dynamic of Israel, and he's just trying to beat out a little bit of grain in order to make a little bit of flour. Probably he has a little bit of oil, and then he can make a little bit of bread, because we know from the first introduction here that the Midianites, the Amalekites, and the others who are sort of invading the territory, they don't want to take possession of the land. There's like an envious quality to them. They are trying to destroy the land. It says in two places. It says that they came in to destroy the increase of the earth, and then they entered the land to destroy it. And so this is an important element in the covenant that God has with Israel, this space of territory. We were talking before we began the podcast that you are from Finland, and the square kilometer coverage of the earth that Finland has probably is twice the square kilometer coverage of what Israel is, today as a republic, not a kingdom. Very significant difference in how we approach this. Israel's kingdom time will come. And I really think that's, the way we read the Bible from a sort of a theological understanding that certain promises of God are irrevocable, and some of those promises relate to Israel. So one of them involves the throne of David, of course, and Jesus is the rightful heir to that. But a lot of the promises relate to this territory, correct?
Yes, like geographical promises.
Yeah.
Like you will, for eternity, you will inhabit this area, and then it's specified.
Yes.
And I believe it's Deuteronomy 30 or 32, somewhere there, somewhere at that area. Right after he gives the conditional covenant, Mosaic covenant, where he says, like, if you obey me, you will be blessed, you'll prosper, and your enemies will be defeated, and all these things. But if you disobey me, if you go to another gods, if you forget the Lord your God, okay, there's no mercy for you. Meaning, let me rephrase that. The mercy in that case and the grace in that case is I'm not going to leave you in that kind of state, but I'm going to bring you out, but I'm going to do it in my way.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use another nation to plunder.
Yeah. This nation comes in for 7 years, and it's like, it says they're like locusts. They have camels. They have, livestock, things that just sort of just rip to shreds. What is the land of milk and honey? And we know from Numbers that the 10 spies, the 12 spies went in and they saw that this land was most fruitful, although occupied by other people groups who had been doing sinful things, but God was now ready to use his people to cleanse the land. It's like, and so this creates, like, I think this from studying the Bible college and everything. This, that, like, people have a big problem with this idea that God is going to cleanse these people groups, like eliminate these people groups, and we don't really recognize it. It comes from a misunderstanding of the deep-seated nature of sin, right?
Yeah, the world and people use it as an argument that God is doing genocides just because, and he justifies them, and he's like people are angry at that. Yeah, like how can you believe in gods like that who is just cleansing the land and doing genocides? Yeah. But then we when you read it again and again, back and forth, you see how wicked the people, how far the wickedness goes. Yeah. Once the whole earth was flooded because of it.
The wickedness was, every imagination of the heart. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then it seemingly had a little bit of a rest. Yeah. And then it started to come back again in different forms. Nothing new under the sun. It's the seed of the serpent. Yeah. And that produces temptation, sin, and death. Yeah. Sometimes quite literally. But it's like these nations were sacrificing
human beings,
babies, adults for gods that in a way, in a hope, in an assurance that they would gain something out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. We can go back all the way to Genesis 4, the story of Cain, and we get that significant statement that God says, where is your brother? Cain says, am I my brother's keep it? And he said, what have you done? You know that your brother's blood speaks to me from the ground. And so the shedding of innocent blood is a phrase that we see in other places in Scripture about, in particular about this long reign of Manasseh. I think it was 55 years. Manasseh reigned from being 12 years old, I think, till he was 77 or 67, something like that. He reigned, and a lot of innocent blood was shed. Now, in Chronicles, we get the story that Manasseh did somehow repent late in his life and got a space of grace there at the end and mercy. But the amount of blood that was shed in the land was significant. This is like people don't like to recognize this so much in terms of the treatment of the land. Like, we have we see a lot of claims about the change in climate and why is the land and why is the earth the way it is? What brought those consequences? And I think it really comes down, like you said, to the shedding of innocent blood. I did like a study of some of these ancient civilizations in the Americas here, Aztecs and Incas and everything like that. And we do find that the shedding of human beings as part of a worship system of the sun or some sort of idolatry that was going on was prevalent. And this is what was going on. The iniquity hadn't reached its full level, but after 40 years in the wilderness, now the iniquity had reached its full level, and God is going to start judging. The innocent blood is speaking to him, and it requires. So, like at a certain point before the flood, the amount of innocent blood shed reached a level that God had to just soak the earth, in order to quiet these voices. That's the way I see it. That's sort of my own interpretation. But when I think about it, but what do you say?
Yeah. I mean, it's not only that, but then like iniquity goes away. I mean, there's a shedding of innocent blood, but there's all kinds of unimaginable things like to have a sex with the beasts, animals, anything goes. Like it goes so deep into like. I mean, the judges say everyone did what was right in their own eyes.
Yeah.
How far that can go, that statement, like as far as you can justify yourself in your own mind.
And then we see, like, we wonder why God says, well, if someone has this kind of relationship with the beast and the humans involved should be executed. Like, and what is it? It is sort of like, not only is there like a disease or some sort of parasite that could enter the human being from this thing, but also the human being gives to the beast something that doesn't belong. So the indecency brings the disorder, and that disorder has to be sometimes, cut out somehow. Just like a cancer would have to be cut out of somebody's organ, like a liver cancer has to be cut off so that the healthy liver the healthy portion of the liver has to go forward. It's like, there's a lot of things that we could say about this, but I think we need to get back to Gideon. So here's Gideon, right? Just thinking about it, we're thinking about, a man who's, like he said, he immediately questions God, like, okay, again, when we're talking about Jephthah knew the story of Israel's history. Gideon, whose story comes before the Jephthah story, actually, in the record of the Judges. But he's saying, Lord, if you're with us, why has all this befallen us? And where are your miracles? And, our fathers told us of all this. You brought us out of Egypt, and you've forsaken us and deliver us into the hands of the Midianites. And so God, here's the significant, excuse me, talking too fast. The significant point is that the Lord looked upon him and, commissioned him. He didn't go back and say, well, the real reason this has happened is because you were evil in my sight. So, he's saying, I need a man, basically, right?
I mean, these are, there's a very different, it comes to me like just a comparison between Moses Like angel of the Lord showed himself in a burning bush. Moses came there, and the angel of the Lord says, "Take your shoes off, for this is a holy ground." What does Gideon do? Like, first thing he sees and talks, like he starts to argue and like okay, three things. If you are with us, why did this happen? Where are your miracles, and why have you abandoned us in the hands of Midianites? I mean, I think he understands mostly all of these, and these are not like a cynical questions, but maybe they are born from disappointment.
Yeah, it's just the pouring out of your complaints.
Yeah. And God doesn't explain everything.
Yeah.
He just says, "Go in this might of yours, and you shall save Israel from the hand of Midianites. Have I not sent you?"
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, and then, just like the story, you said the story of Moses, we know that after Moses had this little conversation, and after he had, thrown his stick down, and it became a snake, and he took and it became a stick again, a staff, and then he reached into his heart, into his bosom, and came out leprous, and then it was saying, and then God said, "Go and speak to Pharaoh," and immediately Moses says, I can't do this. And then Gideon says something similar. He said, "My family's poor. How am I supposed to save Israel? My family's poor, and I'm the least in my father's house." It's like I'm the youngest. David. We get the story of David, the eighth son, the son who wasn't even with the main group when Samuel came to anoint them. Where's the other guy? And now here's Gideon saying, "I'm like the youngest. I'm like, how am I supposed to do this?" And God says, "Go in your might." And it's like, okay, well, a little might is all I need, which is like, I don't have any might. He said, exactly. It's just what I need, right?
Yeah, and then he says to God, like, he says, "If now I have found favor in your sight, if I have grace in your sight, like if you really are with me, then show me a sign that it is you who talk to me." What's the difference between honest wrestling and unbelief?
It's pretty close. I would think unbelief, you have like sort of a scornful attitude, a scoffing about it. Like you think like, you don't really recognize, you don't really know who you are in God's design. You don't really recognize that, yes, you were created in the image of God. So you have an identity problem, I think, in that unbelief is rooted in your identity. I don't even recognize that God made me, and so he's got a measure of, there's false humility sometimes. I can't do this. There's no way I can do this. And it's like, and God is saying, what you have in your weakness, I will be strong. It's like, yes, the other night, what was it? Who was it was talking about? Oh, Justin. We talked about it yesterday too, about like the seed. And a seed is small, insignificant, but it has a power of life inside of it. Every human being, is made alive by the breath of God. So everyone has a capacity to honor and glorify God. And if the spirit of a man is the lamp of the Lord, then all we have to do is give that human spirit to him and let him do something. It's like you have it. Like God is not making, he's saying, look, go in this your might. It's like, do you realize what I put in you? Right. And I think like you're saying, the unbelief, and I think the most honest prayer is like the Mark prayer by the man after the Mount of Transfiguration, the man whose demon-affected son is there. He said, "I do believe, but I need my unbelief to be helped." And here we get God helping the unbelief of, maybe that's the best story that we can take out of this, or the best lesson is that a man who recognized his smallness, and God is going to help his unbelief with a series of answers, right?
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, we don't have a God who is saying like, well, if you don't believe what I just said, then just like I'm just gonna go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use somebody else. No, it says like we know it says in Romans that 11, I believe, the gifts and calling of God is without repentance.
Yeah.
So if God has given us a holy calling according to His purpose and grace before the foundation of the world, He's like it says in 2 Timothy 1:9. Okay, like I know what I have stored for you, and I'm not giving up. I'm giving more grace to you. You need help with the unbelief. Like you come to the right place. Like, okay, and he says, Gideon says, like, do not depart from here. I pray until I come to you and bring out my offering and set it before you. And then angel of the Lord says, I will wait until you come back.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think that little, what's it called? A mustard seed of faith. Here's the mustard seed of faith in Gideon. He's saying, okay, you're the angel of the Lord. There's something I know about making an offering to you. Will you let me do that? And this is, this is a way of God, like, showing just who He is, because He receives the offering, right?
Yes, like so Gideon prepares an offering, and then the story goes, the angel of the Lord touches it, the fire comes from the rock, and the offering is consumed, and Gideon realizes he has encountered God.
Yeah. Seen the angel of the Lord face to face. Wow.
Wasn't that what Jacob said also after wrestling with God?
Yeah. And I have survived.
And I survived.
Yeah. It's these personal stories, personal encounters with God. It's not like the nationwide encounters, the nationwide revelations of the Lord. They happened in the wilderness at Sinai. They heard the thunder. When the tabernacle was finished, they saw the glory of God fill the tabernacle. When the temple was completed and Solomon completed his prayer, the glory of God came down. But how many, like the angel of the Lord, the glory of God can be revealed to people just like this, I mean, it really goes all the way back to someone that we don't really rate as a hero. I mean, she's got sort of a tortured part in the story of Hagar, but we know that when she was mourning and waiting for her son to die, or even before that, when she was running from Sarah while she was pregnant with Ishmael, two situations, the glory of God, the angel of the Lord encountered her and, giving her instruction to go back and then later pointing her to the well of salvation for her son at that point. So there's a big theological story there too. Does God love Hagar and her descendants? And the answer seems to be yes. Yeah. And Ishmael's name is like, God has seen me. It's like, this is, it's like we tend to take that name and think like, oh, that's like a bad name. It's like, it's not Ichabod. We see Ichabod, we know that the glory of God has departed, but Ishmael, it does not mean what Ichabod means. It's like kind of thing, Anyway, so we have Gideon. Now we have Gideon set up for, for the instruction that God is going to do. What's the first thing?
So before that, after he had this very real encounter face-to-face with God, he builds an altar, which is called Jehovah Shalom, the Lord is peace. So it seems that before God sends Gideon into battle, he gives him the peace.
That's a good point, yeah.
So he has a rest in his soul, he has a peace that God is with me. And now, first thing, commissions before fighting the Midianites, he goes and tells Gideon, destroy your father's altar, tear down the Asherah, maybe build an altar to me. So his father had built this false god altar and God is saying, "Go and destroy that.
And he did.
Go against your dad."
That's
kind of.
right. Yeah. Turn against your family's idol.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it happened. And it creates like a conflict in the town. And, you know, and now we see that after this spiritual element, now Gideon is prepared for, you know, that was going to be like, I think maybe is this a test case? I don't know. Is this a test case?
It might be a test of obedience because,
Yeah.
like, he didn't do it daylight. He went by night.
Yeah. He you know, he didn't want to do it openly, but he knew he had to do it. And
Yeah.
I think we do those kind of things too. We know God has called us to do something, but we do try to do it in the most comfortable way that we can do it, you know, something that doesn't risk our own flesh or anything like that. Bring us out into, I'm not going to bring this out into the light of day, I'm going to do it. But, you know, it gets found out and then he gets a new name, he Jerubbaal, it means, you know, he defeated Baal. Baal was shown not to be a god because, you know, if he really was a god, he would have defended himself. And somehow, something happens here to, you know, Gideon's father. Gideon's father is like saying, "Oh, you want to put him to death for idol destruction?" And I'm saying, like, it was my idol, and you know, okay, if this God was really a god, he should fight for himself. And that was the whole thing with Elijah too. Like, you know, all right, you go first. All the 450 servants of Baal, they cry down, they cut themselves, they dance around, nothing happens, no fire. And then, you know, it's like, let's see. And then this is sort of the same kind of attitude that Gideon's father has in this. You know, so in his family, Gideon has also, you know, sort of made the witness to his family first, you know. And then we get the assembling of his group of people who are going to do this story. Do the fighting and the battle with the Amalekites and the Midianites. So let's get to this next piece in there. He blows a trumpet. The Spirit of the Lord came upon him. Again, there's that word. Like he came upon Jephthah, he came upon Gideon, and Gideon blew a trumpet, and he's calling men to war.
He didn't make
and they
a vow.
Came, right?
He didn't make a rash vow here
No, he
after
didn't.
the Spirit of the Lord came.
No, he does something different towards the end. We'll talk about that. But anyway, we'll get to Gideon's failings later on. But Gideon is still looking for some confirmation about what he's been called to do. And this is maybe one of the most misused scripture passages. It was one when I first became a believer in a very sign-oriented kind of system. It's like I had people who would tell me, "Well, put a fleece out." Like, what do you mean? Like, tell God to do something, and if He does it, then you'll know what you're supposed to do. I'm like, I don't see that for all. The person who gave me my first. The person who gave me a Bible the night that I became a believer, she put it in my hand and told me to read Job first. So I listened to it and I read Job. And that was a really strange story. But in none of the conversations that Job's friend has with him, none of those conversations do they say, "Hey, put a fleece out.
Yeah.
Let's just to ask God to do something so you'll know that it's Him doing this." It doesn't say that at all. Right. It's like, Job is forced to not forced, but he's, has to fight through his own problems with God, his own problems in the relationship with God, and then all these other things. So, but this is like, I knew a guy that, he lost a job because he said, "I put out a fleece, and if this light coming up turns red, then I'm going to take it that I shouldn't go to work today." And so it turned red, so he went and did something else, and then he lost his job. And he said, "You put a fleece out." Well, that's like ridiculous, It's like saying today, "Lord, if the temperature reaches 100, I will." It's like the temperature is going to reach 100 because it's the natural flow of things, or something.
So you're trying to get a yes to your your fleshly desire.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, I mean, like we do know this thing that was God did give Israel, which is this pouch with the black stone and the white stone, the human and the thummim, and that's like sort of a kind of thing that God did allow for. But that's like something in His design. It was like, and there was only one person who carried that pouch, and there was only one person who had the capacity to really use that pouch. But in this situation, it's like you're creating your own stones, like, okay, the fleece. And so, but God humors him. God like, okay, I need to get this guy going. So, okay, He does answer both of the fleece prayers. One night the fleece is supposed to be wet. The next day the fleece is supposed to be dry. And, and He says, He said, I know that this is really like kind of cowardice and everything like that. Don't let the Lord's anger be hot against me. But but the thing is that God knows knew that He needed this for some reason, because the next thing is going to happen. There's going to be a different kind of test that comes about. And this the next?
So interesting for me it is about going back to that. It's like Gideon already knew God's will.
Yeah,
it was clear as a day.
Yeah,
God's already spoke to him. He already performed a miracle, and He already promised a victory.
Yeah.
So it wasn't about direction. It was just about reassurance in his heart.
Yeah.
Because he's a human that has a fallen sin nature, and probably a lot more insecurity that the Scripture actually tells here. I mean, it portrays it in this way, but it kind of shows he needed so desperately reassurance. And how many times do we, if God has a calling, and you feel weak, you don't feel qualified, and then you're constantly asking for a reassurance. It's like a little kid going to his parents and am I doing this right? Is this really what I like? In everything and every little step, every 2 minutes, it's like, I just want to make sure that this is right. I just want to make sure that I'm on the right path. I just want to make sure that this is from you. This is what you really said.
Yeah, I want to tie this. This kind of attitude that Gideon has to Gethsemane and Jesus, because we know that Jesus in His humanity is really feeling the fearfulness of what's about to befall Him the next day. It's going to be, tremendous pain, and then also tremendous separation, like when He is forsaken as being made sin for us, when that moment of darkness, when He cries out that, God, you've forsaken me. God answered there too. It's like God sent an angel to strengthen him. It's like, so we shouldn't Gideon asking for these kind of things. It seems trivial to us. Like, why couldn't he just believe God for it? Well, the Son of God, being who He was, even begged God for a different way.
Yeah.
But Thy will be done.
Yes.
And then to get him prepared for the arrest and betrayal, the betrayal and the arrest, and then everything that would happen in the next 24 hours. An angel of the Lord was sent to comfort him, to give him. So it's like, how much was Jesus like a real human being? Absolutely, totally, 100%.
Tempted in every way.
Yes, such as we are. That's it. That's one of the most important identifying features of the person of the Son.
Hebrews 4 says, He's not a high priest who is unable to sympathize with us.
Yes.
But in every way He was tempted.
Yeah.
Like we were, yet without sin.
Yeah. So now we get to the assemblage of Gideon's 300, his army. He's got 32,000. And then we know that the first cut, all the fearful ones go home. So that's one thing. Okay, get all the fearful ones out of here. Okay, now you got 10,000, still too much. Now the thing is that Gideon is chosen as an instrument who was weak, and he's not really sure he can do this. And then also now God is saying, if you have too many people and you get this victory, you're going to be proud. So this is too many. Now, I think this next test, what's the water test? I believe the water test is one of ignorance. Like, I mean, if you are a warrior and you're in the field of battle and you throw your face in the water to drink, like, it's just, you're just going to get shot by an arrow. You're not even going to see it coming. But the guys but only 300 guys had enough mindset, discernment to say, hey, I got to drink this way, right?
Situational awareness.
They were like, there you go.
They were
situational awareness.
Like a security terms. They were aware of like, okay, we can be in a war at any moment.
Yeah.
And I mean, arrows can come at any time. There can be some ambush like this.
Yeah.
So like, we better be ready.
Yeah, and only 300 passed that test. And I'm thinking, I'm reading a book. It's a novel called it's about Sarajevo, the cellist of Sarajevo, but it's talking about, and I just read a story last night about how around the hills of Sarajevo during this wartime, there were snipers, and it talks about how people would try to cross streets and they'd have to like judge, is a sniper watching me? And then they'd race across that like here. And they were very like looking at, because they could watch the hills and they were looking for a reflection. Because if the sun had reflected on like a scope, then they knew that that their scope was trying to, they had to learn how to do that. So like if you got your face in the water, you don't know how to face the enemy. And the next part of the story is that, one, Gideon hears a dream. Another thing is sort of like the fleece thing. He overhears this dream this one guy has.
So this is the fourth assurance
that
God gives.
He really wants Gideon to get this victory, and he wants, so you get that part. But I think like the 300 are the men who have enough discernment, and they are also they also have enough humility to take what's going to be like a very strange war plan, right? Talk about it.
Yeah. So I love this, like this kind of story of the assurance. Like God knows Gideon is afraid, which is like he knows our frame. He knows what is your weakness. He knows what is my weakness, and he says my grace is sufficient for these things. So he tells him, I'm putting it kind of if you're afraid, go listen outside the enemy camp what they have to say about you. And so Gideon overhears the Midianite soldier describe a dream, and then another soldier immediately interprets it that is saying Gideon is going to defeat us.
Yeah,
like he's like. Then can you imagine like you go snoop there and hear your enemies preach your victory before you even fought. And then Gideon's response is he worships. Yeah. No more requests, no more fleeces. There's just worship.
He's gotten to the point of that, if God can flatten an army with a loaf of bread, I'm ready to go. It's like it's really like a barley loaf comes in and flattens the army. It's like, okay, wow, this is really interesting. I've had some strange experiences, but I'm going to go in the strength of this message. And then they do something even more strange, like, just talk about the battle plan. It's like you got a lamp, you got a pitcher.
So you have 135,000 Midianites, and then 300 soldiers. So you divide them into three, so go surrounding in three different directions. Yeah. Well, what are they using as a weapons? Trumpets, clay jars, and torches. Yeah. No swords, no military strategy that makes sense. Yeah. As the story goes, they break the jars, they blast the trumpets, and the torches sounds. And this is a very broad brush. And then what happens when they do that? And God is in it. So Midianites hear it, Midianites see it, they panic, and then God sets them to fight each other.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And Israel are still standing, like they are watching God fight their battle.
Yeah, and so this battle becomes a victory, and the battle goes forward. These 300 men fight a long battle. It seems they have this battle. The Midianites do some great damage to themselves, and then there's he's chasing down princes of Midian, and he's going down after he's chasing these people down, and so these victories happen in 7, and so. At the end of chapter 7, they go through, out of these tribes, Naphtali, Asher, and Manasseh. They pursue the Midianites, and then they fight them long stretch of territory that they fight over, and eventually, he does have the victory. And but we have to really point out that the success test was like maybe he had gotten all these assurances of God being with him, and now after winning all of this, he became sort of what is it?
Self-confident.
Yeah, there we go. Self-confident, and he created. Something that became a snare to the people of Israel. And this is, all of this book of Judges is what was written, I believe, to like certify, Israel was wrong in asking for a king, but they so much lived in what their own minds told them to do, what their own hearts wanted to do, that even the heroes did what their own hearts wanted them to do. Like whether it was Jephthah keeping his vow, and whether it was Gideon creating this sort of silver ephod, whatever that was. I haven't really got a good definition about what an ephod is. Sometimes I've heard it be like a cloak, and other times it's like some sort of shrine or something, or statue or whatever.
It seemed to be a cloak when I was reading it. And it's interesting, like how when I was reading and we talked about it a little bit, it's like how you kind of see the history of a nation of Israel through Gideon, whereas they are set apart by God for a task, and like God is with them, and then they conquer one by one, like a promised land that was given to them, and then they become familiar with God, and then they become confident, self-righteous, and then the first thing we see is the golden calf. Yeah. But then there's there's other instances. There's Gideon's ephod and anything, or brazen serpent. Yeah. Or anything man-made can be created as an idol and replace God in the worship. So nation asks Gideon, please rule over us. We want you to be our king. And Gideon gives the perfect answer, like, the Lord shall rule over you. Excellent. But then he requests gold. He collects over 1,700 shekels. Yeah. He makes an ephod. Whether he intended it as a memorial or as a priestly symbol, the result is, which is in verse 27 of chapter 8, and all Israel played the harlot with it there in the city of Ophrah, and it became a snare to Gideon and to his house. So all Israel. Yeah. All Israel.
So the spoils of war were turned into an emblem. The emblem became something to commit whoredom with, prostitution with, and then it's a snare to Gideon at his house.
So the man who destroyed Baal's altar unintentionally or intentionally creates another idol. Yeah. And
the fruits of his victory turned into it's like he became arrogant about it. It's like, this is so this is, I guess, a telling test. Like, you get the assurances of the Lord, you can get, you can get too self-confident in that. You build something like this, and it ends up spoiling the people that you said the Lord was their God, but now you've created something else for them to worship by. And
Right.
But still, here's the comforting thing. It says that the land was in quietness for 40 years. And we see the next part is I don't think we're going to talk about that this week at all, but the next part we see that, this sort of ending here produces like sort of a strangeness in the family. And, throughout the book of Judges, we get these men that have great success and then are brought down by the things of their strength. So the things of their success can become a trap. So when we are successful, that's when we must be most discerning about what could come, right?
Yeah,
that's what we're going to leave them with today, right?
There's the test. It's like when God brings a success, and when there's a victory, when everything is all right, when there is a peace and quietness, there's also a great temptation.
Yeah.
To become a familiar, to become. Like David slays Goliath, so that could have become his identity.
Yeah.
But like in David's case, that didn't happen, but it can happen. That the victories, the achievements that God accomplished becomes your identity.
Yeah.
And then you ride that wave, and like you are who you are because of those victories, not because what God says.
That's true. Yeah. It's important, like, even in the story of the great King David, we know he played with the numbers. He instituted a census. He was an anointed man, but he did a wrong thing here, and it brought a plague on the people. And here we see Gideon does something out of order, a disorder here, and his family in the next couple chapters pays the price for it.
Yeah.
So David's sin in numbering the people to see how big of an army and how many people am I really ruling over? He's got to know that. Even Joab, his like sort of natural man kind of warrior, said, we shouldn't do that. That just is wrong. And then we know that a plague falls on so that, all of these stories show us the greatness of God using a weak person, and then also like the success can get us all turned around. We're not looking to the hills. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Yeah. Well, that's the Grace Hour show for today. Jonathan, thank you. It's been a pleasure to be with you these last 2 days.
Yes.
We've done a lot of talking. And I want to thank Jehu. Jehu, thank you again for being with us and keeping us going here technologically. And for all of you subscribing to the Grace Hour show, thank you so much. Give us a great rating. Tell your friends, your neighbors, and let them subscribe and get a taste of something from the Bible every time you put this on your device, whatever device it is that you're using. So thank you, everyone. Tonight here at Greater Grace Church in Baltimore, we'd like to let you know 7 o'clock we will have a church service, midweek church service. Come on out and worship with us and hear something from the Word of God. You can even get a cup of coffee before or after the service, maybe even ice cream if you want, at our book cafe here on campus. Thank you so much for being with us today. This has been the Grace Hour show for this Wednesday. God bless you.